Good evening, boxing fans, and welcome to Enter the Ring Live on Tuesday, November the 30th, 2021, with Mighty Mike and my brother,
AJ Rage.
What's going on, everybody? What's up, bro?
How's it going, my brother?
Feel like we were just here. It's because we were.
Hey, man, we're trying to stay consistent, man. That's all we can do.
Yeah.
How's my lighting? Is it bright enough?
Yeah, it's good.
Cool.
Good. So, hey, man, it is Tuesday evening, 6 o'clock on the West Coast, 9 o'clock on the East Coast. Another full weekend of boxing, coming off of a big weekend of boxing, another big weekend of boxing coming up. Man, we're excited about the fights this weekend. It seems like we just talked about it prior to coming on during our pre-show meeting. Man, we have a full load to carry us all the way into the early part of January.
Absolutely, yeah, and I'm excited about all of it, to be honest with you. Obviously, everybody's still kind of
buzzing
about what happened to Teofimo Lopez this past weekend. Like our show title today, I don't know if you want to read it off.
Yeah, well, wait, it was about Kambosos, right? About Kambosos.
Well, yeah, and I actually misspelled Will. I'm gonna have to fix that. I'm such a retard sometimes, but it says Will Haney faced the Kambosos curse against Diaz. I mean, let's be honest. There's been a lot of talk out there. Rumor has it that Devin Haney tends to be a little chinny at times. Wrong recipe going into a fight with a guy that is as motivated as JOJO Diaz.
Yeah, very true. I just want to say one thing as we lead into this weekend's fight. I want to make one more comment about the fight we saw on Saturday. I just want to commend George Kambosos for not only the way he handled himself in the post-fight interviews, because obviously since we came on the air Sunday, there have been some more interviews and more, he's done some talk shows and whatever, YouTube shows or whatever, MMA Hour with Ariel Helwani. Completely gracious, remains humble. And even today I read on Boxing Scene where he said it doesn't seem like it's in the cards for him and Teofimo to have a rematch. He doesn't really feel that Teofimo wants one. And he says, and if that's the case, he says, I wish him well and I will support him in his career going forward. And I hope he would do the same to me. I'm loving this guy more and more every time he opens up his mouth, dude. He's such a legitimate human being, man.
Well, he's such an anomaly because it's like if anybody ever caught any of George Kambosos' early action against guys like Lee Selby and others and stuff, he wasn't a very likable person. Maybe it was because you didn't really get to learn to know him on that personal level like you know him now, because they're actually giving him some TV time because of his victory. So you just saw this rough tumble kind of guy that wasn't afraid to use dirty tactics and other things. He did what he was just a good fighter. Gave me a lot of feeling of almost like I was watching a modified version of Michael Casitas.
Michael Casitas, another Greek,
another Spartan guy, Australian Spartan, just like him, who he speaks very highly of. But what's there not to love about George Kambosos? Everything that comes out of his mouth is pure honesty. He does this for not just him, but he does it for the love of his father and the love of his country, Australia. His dad. I mean, you talk about a proud daddy who doesn't have to use cuss words. I mean, this is a guy who's just probably looking at his wiener and going, "Oh, thank you for giving me this." I'm gonna look at my son. I mean, this kid is just amazing.
Yeah, man. What? Yeah, exactly, man. And married, I think he has now three sons. Just a great guy, man. Like we said,
we need more of in the sport. I'll be honest.
Absolutely,
we really do. And it's unfortunate we got to go as far as Australia to find, a prime example of the type of fighter that we should have here. So for some of these fighters that are out there, rather than take the lead of guys like Teofimo Lopez, you saw what the end result was. Take the lead of the guy who beat him, George Kambosos.
Oh yeah, because nothing's better than serving up a big old plate of crow to somebody who's mouthy. Anyways, let's go ahead and jump into this weekend's fights, man. We're going to, obviously we have a full weekend of fighting. We have a special attraction on Sunday at the former Staples Center, now crypto something.com arena. Either way, Staples Center, downtown LA, that's going to happen on Sunday. But prior to that, Saturday at the MGM Grand in Las Vegas, Devin Haney will be defending his title for the fourth time. His WBC, I guess it's considered the regular title, WBC regular title or franchise title. I get confused. I think it's the regular and Kambosos holds the franchise. Either way.
That's the whole thing.
It doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, it doesn't make any sense at all.
Doesn't make any sense. But either way, he'll be defending against Joseph JOJO Diaz out of South El Monte, California. Somebody that I've got to spend some time with over the last few years. Not recently, but a couple years ago. And I am very, very excited to see this fight. To me, the jury's still out on Devin Haney. I still don't know how good he is or how regular he is, but I know what JoJo Diaz brings to the table. JoJo Diaz is a rough and tumble, hardcore guy, and he's the kind of fighter, AJ, and you agree, he needs to be up for a fight to fight his best.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. You saw that in his fight against the Russian. You saw that in his fight against Tevin Farmer, a fight that a lot of people didn't give him a chance, and I'll go ahead and let you finish your point, and then I'll kind of
no. That's all I wanted to say was that JoJo's going to rise to the occasion. Because, like you said last on Sunday during our show, he feels disrespected, and I feel he's been disrespected by a lot of media, and he's never really gotten his just due. There's a guy that's got one loss who was a former 2-time champion. Am I right? He won the belt at 126. Oh no, I'm sorry, he didn't win. He won it at 130 over Tevin Farmer, but lost it on the scales or whatever.
All right, Eric, how's it going, brother? Eric the Red joins us.
Eric the Red.
The Red.
How's work?
It's good. Just here at the
working on the new rooms.
Yeah, working on the new rooms basically. Got some really cool stuff going on. This one's going to be one for the record book. So it's going to be
Eric,
cool.
Eric, we just finished. We just kind of segued from, obviously Saturday's fight, just a quick brief moment about Saturday. Now we're segueing into this week, and we got fights on Saturday and on Sunday. Saturday on its own, Sunday on Showtime pay-per-view, which is kind of rare. It's going to be coming in right after NFL football, big weekend of football. I think, I don't know. I don't watch the NFL anymore, but we're talking about Joseph. He likes to go by Joseph. People still call him JoJo, but Joseph Diaz against Devin Haney. I was telling AJ that we don't know. I still don't know enough about Haney. I've seen him fight a few times, but the jury to me is still out on him. Whereas I know what JoJo's going to bring to this fight.
Very true.
I'll let you jump in on your point. I wonder before I forget my point real quick.
I hope that Haney doesn't take him lightly. You know what I mean?
Well, I think it
because
all.
I think
I kind of hope he does. I kind of hope he does.
I know, but I'm just saying, if he does, then you're gonna get like a Teofimo Lopez saying, "Oh, I won the fight," and when he didn't. You know what I mean? So
I don't know if Haney would go down that road. Obviously, Mike, I think you hit it spot on when you said there's a mental thing that's going on with the whole Lopez clan. But the thing that I look at is who's the
2 seconds, guys.
Sure. Who's the person who's the most prepared for this fight? And if you look at past performances, it's JoJo Diaz, not just because he's fought more and he's done more since the 2012 Olympics in which he participated, but the fact that he's fought fighters like Gary Russell Jr., who's looked upon as probably the fastest fighter in boxing, slick fighters like Tevin Farmer. So in a way, maybe a similar version.
Fortuna, a guy nobody wanted to fight.
Yeah, a guy nobody wants to fight. After that performance against the Russian, in which JoJo Diaz relinquished his title. He pretty much lost it at the scales. Coming in 3 pounds overweight. But the point is, he was struggling to make that weight. He looked strong. He took on Fortuna, another slick fighter who fights a lot like Devin Haney, and he was successful in all of these outings. Now, when you go back and look at Devin Haney, you really don't have anybody you can match because Linares is nothing like JoJo Diaz.
No, not at all.
Is maybe some similarities in some ways, but doesn't have the size of JoJo Diaz. People don't really realize, he's not as tall. I think he's maybe an inch or two shorter, but his girth, I mean, he really built out well for the 135-pound division. And Devin Haney, the one thing with this whole chinny thing, which Linares kind of exposed at the end of the fight, the difference is if JoJo hurts Haney like that, he's not going to let his foot off the pedal like Linares did. It's going to be, good night, Irene.
Well, Linares caught him at the end of the round. And Linares is a counterpuncher by nature. He's not a come forward kind of guy like JoJo. JoJo's going to be in his face. JoJo's not going to be, how am I to say this? JoJo's going to take the initiative in this fight. He's going to go at Devin Haney. He's going to rough him up. He's going to rough him up.
He's not going to be waiting.
Watch the Fortuna fight. That's what he did in the Fortuna fight.
Yeah.
Fortuna came at him and he met him in the center ring, man, and they went toe to toe.
Yeah.
So I just think a lot of people are believing the hype, but I've noticed a lot of experts, guys that had a very positive opinion of Haney going into this fight after this Teofimo loss to Kambosos are kind of changing their tune a little bit, because they're saying, you know what, maybe we're looking at the glamour and we're not looking at the actual
substance,
what's going on. You know what I'm saying? We're believing all the people that are saying, hey, this guy's so great, but he hasn't really done anything to really convince me that he is that great. Where on the other hand, JoJo Diaz has been a workhorse. He's faced some of the best fighters that have been rated in the pound for pound best, guys like Gary Russell Jr.
Yep.
You know?
And now that fight's taking place this Saturday in Las Vegas.
We might as well get some predictions out. I mean, the fights this week, we're not gonna have the show before then.
Yeah, I mean, if you guys want to make a prediction, I'll go ahead and go first. I'm gonna say my heart's with JoJo Diaz, and I'm gonna say, I guess I kind of go both ways. I think JoJo could stop Haney mid to late rounds. I'm gonna say maybe late rounds. But if it goes to the cards, I don't think I think Devin Haney will scrape by on the cards, because he's gonna strategically, he'll do what he has to do to survive, especially if JoJo hurts him. Mm-hmm. And he will get on his bike and he will grab maul to survive. I don't think Haney possesses the power to even hurt JoJo Diaz. I got to be honest. JoJo's been hit with a lot of punches from a lot of big, strong guys. And I've never seen JoJo Diaz so much as even wobbled. I mean, I might be remiss to remember anything, but do you remember anything where JoJo's, he's got a very good chin.
Very good chin. Very sturdy. Yeah.
So I'm going to say JoJo by late rounds, TKO or stoppage.
How about you, Eric? I'm gonna play the Price is Right thing. I'm gonna be the guy who bids $1. So play it, bro.
Okay, so I've seen quite a few of JoJo's fights,
mm-hmm.
or Joseph's fights, and not very many of Haney's.
Yeah,
I think if Joseph actually doesn't buy into the hype of this so-called superstar in Haney, and actually does meet him head on, I'm like you, Michael. It'll be late 8-9 rounds. And
you think JoJo can get him out of there?
Yeah, but once again, if it does go to the cards, we're in Vegas, man. They're gonna screw him. Even if if he makes it close, doesn't make it overwhelming, they will give it to Haney. So
yeah,
that's
I like
the nature of the beast nowadays. It's actually really sad.
Yeah. So. Go ahead, AJ.
Okay, so I'm gonna play devil's advocate. So here it is. All the cards are on the table right now. JoJo knows what he has to do in order to win this hand. Haney thinks he's already won the hand, because even though he keeps going back at the end of his conversations and saying, I'm not overlooking JoJo Diaz. Yes, you are. You were overlooking JoJo Diaz the first time you started negotiating a possible fight against the winner of the Kambosos, which you figure would be Teofimo Lopez, or possibly get Ryan Garcia if he does come back, who was JoJo Diaz's original opponent.
That's right.
The thing is right now is that JoJo Diaz understands. I believe he does. And I'm going to call him JoJo Diaz, because to me, Joseph means a nice guy. And if there's one thing JoJo needs to do going into this fight is no Mr. Nice Guy. He needs to bring out that devil in JoJo Diaz. Yeah. Whatever it is he's harboring, those feelings, how everybody turned their back on him, his promoters, they forgot all the good that he's done for boxing. And he makes one bad call. He comes in a little bit overweight, drinks a few too many beers, and all of a sudden he's a garbage amongst, the boxing world. Take that all and then take it out on Devin Haney. How JoJo Diaz is going to be successful is by doing what Porter should have did against Crawford, and that's putting Devin Haney's back on the ropes like he did against Tevin Farmer, going from high to low, low to high, work the body to the head. JoJo's an excellent body puncher. Something
very much so.
Something that nobody ever exploits on Devin Haney. The only one who actually threw a few punches at Devin Haney's body and actually was successful and kind of stopped him in his tracks was Yuriorkis Gamboa. I mean, Linares completely ignored the body practically. So if JoJo can invoke the fact that even though he's moving up in weight, he's the bigger guy. When they walk around the streets, Devin might be a little taller, but JoJo's the bigger guy, the bigger man. He's already grown into his man strength, where Devin Haney's only 22, 23 years old.
Yeah, and JoJo's 28, 29 now.
Yeah,
so.
Put his back against the ropes and pound this man. He has to throw punches in bunches, no single punches. I don't matter if it hits him in the neck, the arm, the side, whatever. Yeah. Punches and bunches have to come. I believe JoJo's going to be successful in this. I think Devin Haney's going to start to question where he's at in this fight at some point. And his dad So lack of experience in the professional ranks is going to be the thing that's going to kill him, just like what happened to Teofimo Lopez with Junior Lopez. I predict something spectacular. I'm not going to say whether it's a KO or a decision win, but don't be surprised if Devin Haney all of a sudden just gives up. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, like the Heat
just quits.
Right? Yeah.
So I'm taking JoJo Diaz to not only make to get a victory, but to make a statement if he comes in and does what he's supposed to do. The only thing that bothers me about JoJo, I still question his dad's methods, but at the end of the day, you know, you got to go with, you know, what JoJo already knows.
Yeah, JoJo's very experienced. One thing I like about JoJo Diaz, he did an interview, I think it was yesterday or early today, where he said, when I beat Haney, he says, I'd like to fight the winner of Tank versus CRUZ, which, you know, a lot of people are predicting Tank Davis, and he's the guy that said it. Man, I want the best fights. I don't want to take the easy road. I think, you know, I was a little bit miffed about everybody calling out Kambosos right after his win. No, Ryan Garcia jumped in. Guy hasn't fought in over a year. He throws us out into the ring. You got Devin Haney mentioning his name. A bunch of other guys mentioned his name. JoJo Diaz did no such thing. He did no such classless move. Like, hey, when I beat Haney, I want to go after Kambosos. He understands that there's a process involved, right? There's a hierarchy. He's, you know what I mean? If he's the one that if he wins this fight, he would have claim to go fight Kambosos, because he would now hold one of the belts, the WBC belt, whether it's a franchise belt or the regular belt, whatever. So
yeah, absolutely.
But I don't think that JoJo was going to take away that shine from Kambosos and start calling him out. And in fact, he has. In fact, I like that about him, because I think that shows that he's focused and he respects what Kambosos did in that ring on Saturday. Could you imagine a Kambosos versus JoJo Diaz fight in Australia? Oh my God. Dude,
two action pressure fighters and stuff coming at it. And I'll tell you right now, honestly,
two of the good guys too, man.
It's a 50-50 fight to me, honestly. Even though Kambosos did what he did, I'm going to be honest with you. I just think Teofimo Lopez was not what he was presenting to the people.
I agree.
He was completely exposed. You know, I don't think he was in the shape. I think him and his dad, I don't want to get on the whole thing again, but I think him and his dad were living too much in the past. I was watching this thing. It's really good. If you get a chance, go to DAZN or go on YouTube and look at behind the scenes.
I saw that.
So when you watch Teofimo Lopez, when he's getting his hands wrapped by his dad, Junior Lopez doesn't even know how to wrap hands. His son had to keep fixing. I mean, those are the little things that you just don't understand at this level. You got the unified champion of the world, even though in reality it was kind of a gifting, even though Teofimo Lopez lost that argument when he said, you know, I went out and won every title, where Devin Haney got his on an email. I don't understand that whole logic, but whatever. But the bottom line is you got to know these things. I think that's going to be the downfall. People are going to point at JoJo Diaz's dad and say, well, you know, you learned how to train fighters watching YouTube. But then they're going to look at Devin Haney's dad and go, and where exactly did you learn about boxing? Because you don't know much more. So they're both very inexperienced trainers.
You want to hear something crazy? I had a conversation last week with Robert Alcazar. You know what he told me? He said when he got licensed to be a boxing trainer years ago, he says this is not even required anymore. Years ago, when you used to have to get licensed to be a boxing trainer, you used to have to take a written test, 100 something. You had to perform a hand wrap in front of the commission. These trainers today that call themselves trainers, these guys they would get D's and F's on the test, and a lot of them don't know how to properly wrap hands. Things have changed.
It's amateur boxing, bro. When I turned amateur, just like you did, you had to do a thing in front of them where it showed you that you had basic skills. They don't even do that anymore.
No, they don't even do that anymore.
These guys, you know, I don't know how it is in the pro ranks, but you know.
So let's go ahead and I don't really even want to talk too much about the undercard on that, unless there's something you guys really were excited about. I'm not really excited.
Tank and CRUZ, that one, or
no, that's on Sunday. We're still talking about Diaz versus Haney. We're going to go ahead and jump then to the following day. So we have those fights on Saturday on DAZN, right? Coming from Vegas. The following day in Los Angeles, we will have Tank Davis defending against Isaac CRUZ or Isaac CRUZ. I mean, they're calling him Isaac CRUZ at Staples Center, main event. And Fundoro's on the undercard, right, against the undefeated Garcia, right? So those are two really good fights. I mean, let's just talk about the main event. I mean, I don't know, AJ, you made some good points on Sunday's show about this kid and about the hunger and about how, you know, when his family's mentioned and how he wants to give his family opportunity, whereas Tank's family Tank's already made a lot of money. Granted, he still wants to make more money, but Tank's made money. Isaac CRUZ really hasn't had a real payday. And I think that's motivation It's not for the money, because he's the kind of guy that would probably could fight for $1 million and still go out the next day and still shop at the discount store. But it's about setting his family up and giving his family opportunity, his children and his wife.
No,
So-
no,
I did. I went and watched some of CRUZ's highlights and whatnot, and some of his fights here just today. And I hope, well, for Tank's sake, he better not take this kid lightly.
Oh yeah.
This kid, well, kid, I don't know. He's got some power. He's relentless in his punching.
Yeah.
I mean, he's getting hit and he's still punching, and he gets around the outside. You know what I mean? On both sides. This could end up,
a barn burner,
pretty-
man.
Yeah,
I'm
dead serious.
Yeah.
This could be a great fight.
Well, a lot of people are saying, AJ, go ahead, AJ.
Oh no, go ahead, bro. Go ahead. I'll wait.
No, I say a lot of people are saying this fight, they called it the upgrade from the Rolly fight. They called it, this is an upgrade. We're getting a better fight
Oh yeah, it's a
on
much better fight.
short notice. 4 weeks notice? Which leads me to, and I don't want to get ahead of myself, but I don't know if you guys saw the interview with Rolly Romero, and he was talking how horrible of a fighter Kambosos is and all that
Yeah,
stuff.
I saw that. He's
He's just disgusting. He's another guy that's just disgusting, man. He's a disgusting. And if there's anybody that I believe, I was kind of iffy on believing the accusations thrown at Victor Ortiz, because Victor Ortiz doesn't seem like that kind of a person.
And he cleared
Rolly
himself.
Ramirez fits
Yeah,
that profile perfectly. He
Well,
looks like a
losing
scumbag.
yeah. Well, losing a guy like Rolly Ramirez in the face of boxing, kind of like we lost guys back in the day like Ike Ibuche. In this situation, you're not losing much, because you're talking about a guy who really hasn't stapled his presence in the world of boxing. In his head, he has, but I can point out several mediocre performances where Rolly looked very vulnerable. He thinks because of his amateurish, sparring matches that were borderline tough man competitions, kind of elevated him to this elite status, and it doesn't work that way.
He's a horrible fighter, guys.
he's
He's terrible.
Yeah, and the difference between Rolly Romero calling out George Kambosos and Ryan Garcia never said George Kambosos is terrible. He said, "Hey, I just love the opportunity." Hey, that's great. Now,
There's nothing wrong with that.
There's nothing wrong with that.
yeah.
I have no problem with that. That's the best fighting the best.
But for him to imply that I'll fight him in my comeback fight, it's like, pump the brakes, kid.
Let him do it. Let
Pump
him
the
do it.
brakes,
Give
kid.
it. Hey, it might be easy pickings for George Kambosos. Who
Oh,
knows?
it definitely will, because it's going to take place in Australia. It is not
Well,
going to take place stateside.
Yeah.
I
Didn't somebody just say a little while ago that there's levels to this type of stuff?
Absolutely.
Uh,
But you see, the thing is, the difference is that people don't get it. I saw somebody on a competitive channel, and it just makes me laugh. I mean, after I go through all the shout outs and the yo-yos and all this other bullshit, then they actually talk a little bit about boxing. And one of the things he was talking about was, how can people want to expel Junior Lopez from Teofimo being all the stuff that he's done, and Ryan Garcia got knocked down just like Teofimo, but nobody's giving Ryan Garcia. I said, well, the difference is Ryan Garcia got knocked on his ass. He got up and won the rest of the round. Teofimo got knocked on his ass and was still on his, basically the round saved him in a sense.
The round saved him because he got hit with another big right hand in that round, right at the end of that round.
You can't compare the two. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
When you get knocked down for the first time in your career, and your first reaction is to get up and go right after the guy. That's
like Garcia. Yeah, like Garcia. Yeah.
And this is kind of leading into my thing with Tank and Isaac CRUZ. Isaac CRUZ to me is still a very raw fighter. He does some things pretty good. He's a strong guy. He's a guy that hasn't shown any tendency to run out of gas. He was stunned a couple times, in his fight against Thomas Matisse, Gunnerman. But with the exception to that, he's been pretty solid. His victory over Diego Magdaleno pretty much ended his career. His war with Francisco Vargas, a guy who I feel has always flown under the radar, that should have got a lot more praise than he did.
Oh yeah.
But the thing is that Tank's vulnerabilities, and I don't want to come off like we're the channel that always goes to the underdog, because in my heart and what I know about boxing, Tank should know what it's going to take to beat this guy. In order to beat a short guy, Tank's most dangerous weapon is uppercut. And with him ducking, it should be easy pickings for Tank. You know what I'm saying? But going back to the Leo Santa Cruz fight, I showed you some things last night, Mike. I sent you some videos.
Yeah.
I talked about the fact that there had been rumors about Tank being dropped in sparring against a couple guys. There had been rumors about Tanks. We already know about Tank, even though he tries to portray Trey, I got everything under control. He does lose his head at times.
Yeah, he does.
The kid from Baltimore comes out every once in a while.
Oh, yeah.
My point being, when Leo Santa Cruz landed, I believe it was the third round, came in and caught Tank going back. It was ruled a slip because their feet did tangle at the end. But people didn't notice that it wasn't just one punch. It was the second one missed, and then the third one caught him as he was going down. It wasn't ruled a knockdown. So when a person gets up for something like this, you think they would go back and engage. Tank was the aggressor. Tank went into a shell. You can see it in his face.
Yeah,
he did.
Totally.
He was hurt. So then later on, when Tank was getting his way, he grabbed Leo at one point, and with no resistance from Leo, he just throws Leo to the ground.
Yeah.
With a very smooth fucking collared warning from the referee, because you know Tank's going to get preferential treatment. The point is I'm saying is that CRUZ has a puncher's chance in this fight. We still don't know what Tank possesses when it comes to the chin. We're going to find out.
Yeah,
we know CRUZ has a pretty good chin, but he's never been hit by a guy who hits as hard as Tank Davis.
Yeah.
You know, so I'm going to go and just throw my prediction right now since I'm talking it up. I'm going to go with Tank Davis, and I'm going to go with a knockout. And I think it's going to happen probably around the 6th round. I think Isaac can have his moments, but Isaac Cruz has 3 rounds to win this fight. 3 rounds. After 3 rounds, Tank's going to start, even though Cruz is a smaller guy, Tank's going to work him to the body, set him up, and he's going to get that uppercut, and it's going to be good night.
Yeah, that's a pretty fair assessment right there. Yeah, I'm really having a hard time even making a prediction on this one because I think I'm gonna have to see like a round or two. I'm so perplexed by this matchup because of their fighting styles and the fact that Tank is going to be fighting somebody his own size for the first time and vice versa. So these guys, I don't know if they've brought in guys to mirror or emulate those guys in the sparring. I don't really know, but it's going to be very exciting to see, man. I'm very excited. I'm actually very excited for both fights. You know, I'm hoping that
Cruz
this is a good
on a short notice too, didn't he?
Well, yeah, about 3-4 weeks notice. Yeah, I think about 4 weeks notice, which is, you know,
Cruz is already working. He was supposed to fight on the undercard.
Okay,
so, yeah,
well, that's great. Okay, so that just kind of answered a couple of my. I think, like you said, AJ, if you know Cruz has 3 rounds to finish his fight, I'd say he probably has 5 rounds to try and finish his fight because the way that the kid or the way that he can punch and get hit and keep punching, I don't know if Tank's really been in. Yeah,
Tank's gonna have to break him down a little bit. He's gonna have to break him down. Yeah.
Yeah. And so, but if Tank does get caught with one of those shots, I mean, it could be a short night for CRUZ. I mean, you never know. But then again,
go ahead. I'm sorry.
It could go the other way around too. This is a really tough one to really put your hands on it. Of course, everybody thinks that Tank, he's going to be the odds-on favorite and all that. But I don't know. I mean, he could get caught. So
you never know. Like you said, AJ,
if it goes past 5, Tank's got it.
Yeah, and Leo Santa Cruz doesn't really have the biggest of punches, and like you said, AJ, you showed me the video you sent him. He did get buzzed, and he did shell up. So I don't know. I would be pretty confident to say that Isaac Cruz hits harder than Leo Santa Cruz. Well, Leo Santa Cruz was the guy that fought at 122, 126, and then he was coming up to fight at 135. So that power did not translate up into the higher weights, And Leo hadn't had a knockout in a long time, and it never anywhere remotely close to this weight. So, and if he, like you said, he buzzed him, we'll see what CRUZ can do. Well, yeah. I think CRUZ has to train for an early win. Like 6 rounds, just give it all you got. If you don't get him out of there, well, then just let the chips fall.
Yeah, because I mean, my thing is this. I'm sorry, I was trying to pull a box rec right now because I didn't want to do it on my other thing, but Isaac Cruz, like I said, I mean, he punches in bunches, but if you go back and you look at some of his past performances against some of the people that he's fought against and stuff, I'm not going to say he gets reckless, but I don't see him as the type of puzzle that's going to be too hard for Tank to figure out. Yeah. He kind of comes straight forward, I think the only issue Tank's going to have is fighting somebody that's actually shorter than him, something that Tank hasn't really had to deal with in his career. And that is a situation where it can be very new. It's like a fighter fighting a left-hander for the first time. There's a lot of adjustments you have to make. I mean, how many guys that can hit as hard as Isaac Cruz, move the way he does, have his hand speed at 5'4". So I believe the sparring didn't really help Tank, because whoever they brought in, unless it was like Mayweather's 13-year-old cousin or something like this, you're not going to find anybody this, that size,
Yeah. Very, very, very true.
Just
I
keep
know-
his head down really low, though.
I know that
Like
we
that.
wanted to talk a little bit too there about some other fights coming up. We don't want to make predictions yet, but we do have some other fights coming up. AJ, you had mentioned the following week we have Devin Haney coming up. I'm sorry, Lomachenko is fighting Richard Comey. I think they're fighting in New York, right? Madison Square Garden again.
Yeah,
That'll be
I'll be honest with you. I'm not real excited about the fight, because the fight to me just doesn't make sense. To me, Lomachenko's at such a much higher level after his victory over Nakatani. I understand Comey was the champion, but let's be honest, he was the gatekeeper. The guy was the weakest link, and you saw what happened with him with Teofimo Lopez. We saw what just happened to Teofimo Lopez. This is a no-win situation for this is a keep busy fight for Lomachenko. He just got to be smart and not get caught, because Comey does possess some power, but I don't believe Lomachenko is going to do that.
I think Lomachenko is going to try to get this guy out in one round. I got to be honest. I think he's going to go there
That
and
could
try
be a
to
mistake, though. That could be a huge mistake, because.
But he's not going to be reckless like Lopez is. I mean, he'll be calculated, and you know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, but still, I mean, you run the risk of running into something when you get out of your norm. Lomachenko can go in there and dance around for 5-6 rounds, wear Comey out, and probably make the guy quit on his stool like he's done so many other fighters, going back to guys like Axeman Walters and stuff. That kind of stuff. Why take the risk just because you want to outdo Teofimo Lopez? That fight's dead. Teofimo just got knocked out. You got to put your eyes on Kambosos now. you know? If that be the situation, go knock out Lee Selby, a guy who Kambosos struggled with.
Yeah, very true. Very true. So, you said there was another fight coming up after that on the 18th.
No, actually on the 11th too, we got Nonito Donaire going up against Raymar Gombalio. That's going to be.
I don't know much about this opponent.
Good fighter, man. Good, strong guy coming up. A guy that actually moving up in weight. He moved up in weight, I believe, 2 fights ago. Was just wasn't able to hold the weight like so many fighters, But this is a weight that Nonito Donaire is comfortable at. We saw his outing, his impressive outing against the monster Hanoi. It's always going to be a barn burner when you got Nonito Donaire in there. Guy was rated almost
the guy's
number
amazing.
1 pound for pound fighter back in the days and stuff. So
yeah,
we'll see what happens. Also on that day, Connor Ben, Nigel Ben's son,
Connor Ben,
is taking on
Algieri
fighter / kickboxer / wrestling coach / commentator back to boxing, Chris Algieri.
Yeah, exactly. Not a big fan of Algieri. I got to be honest with you, man. I don't hate the guy, but I'm just not. I was never a big fan of him as a fighter. I just wasn't.
He's too nice for me, man. He's, he seems like the guy that should be, coaching my daughter's soccer team. And when he's talking about aggression, I'm like, Chris, listen to your voice, dude. It's hard for me to take you seriously, bro, with that voice.
Exactly,
it's like,
I agree.
Can you picture him coming in and saying, I'm going to beat your ass? It's like, it doesn't work for me, bro.
Apparently he's a really good nutritionist. Robert Alcazar worked with him for a fight. I don't know if you know this.
I hear he's amazing, bro. I think he's missing his calling. He could be a strength and conditioning coach. He could be the guy out there. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. He's very, very educated in that respect. So
what do you think about the fight with him and Connor Ben? Obviously, Connor Ben is a guy that
I think Algieri's gonna take him the distance. I do. I don't think Algieri's gonna beat him, but I think he's gonna Connor Ben's the one that just beat Granados, correct?
Yes.
Well, Granados to me is way too small to be fighting it that way. I think Algieri's going to be maybe the taller guy in this fight. He's going to be, but my question is this: when was the last time Algieri fought? And like you said, he's a part-time fighter now. Why is Connor Ben fighting a part-time fighter? I don't understand it. There's nobody else in that division he can fight. I don't understand it.
I guess he called out Algieri, and Algieri said, "Hey, I'm the type of guy I'm going to take the challenge no matter what," and stuff like that. Let's be honest. I haven't been overly impressed with Connor Ben, just like Eubanks, his son. Neither one of them. They tend to run their mouths a little bit more. To me, when you run your mouths and you haven't even accomplished what your father accomplished, you're kind of disrespecting your father's legacy in a sense. Go out there and actually do something, kind of like what Costa Zoo's son, Tim Zoo's doing. He talks a little bit, but he doesn't talk to the point to insult people. He's just more of a confidence booster. But he's confident in himself, but he's not hurling insults at anybody, which is a good thing to do. But he's honoring his father in a sense. He's doing it the right way,
Speaking of that, and this is a subject I wanted to talk about. I don't know if you guys saw this, but this was announced about 4 or 5 days ago. Tim's younger brother, Nikita, who apparently was a better amateur than Tim, just signed a promotional deal with Glenn Jennings. He will be making his professional debut. I understand that when Tim decided to go full time into boxing, because when he was a teenager, he was kind of going back and forth. Do I want to box? Do I want to do this? Whatever. He made the decision to go boxing full time, and he's done very, very well. He's on the cusp of a world title shot. Well, Nikita, apparently he was traveling the world. I think he became an architect, or he finished his degree in architecture.
Yeah, because I thought he was the one that wasn't interested in boxing at all.
Well, he stepped away from it entirely for the last couple of years. But I saw some footage of him just today and yesterday in the gym with his brother, and he's a southpaw.
Mm-hmm.
And apparently the kid was had a better amateur record than Tim. But that doesn't always translate to a better fighter in the pros.
Yeah.
But I gotta say this. I want to say Nikita is probably in his early 20s right now, 23, 24. So he's not young. I mean, to me, he's getting started a little bit late. When I say started, turning professional a little bit late.
Mm-hmm.
And he's going to obviously have to learn on the job as well. He's going to have to really, to try to catch up to where he's not going to catch up to Tim, because Tim's got 20 fights now. He's not going to catch up to Tim, but I'm excited to see this kid fight, because I went back and watched some footage of him when training with his father when Costa was back in Australia a couple of years ago. And obviously, it's just interesting to see that zoo, that balance, power style, but in a southpaw.
Yeah,
it's interesting. And he's a southpaw, and the kid's a good fighter. So we'll see.
I'll say this:
That'd be
us
cool.
as non-active fighters are excited about it. Active fighters are like, we don't want any more zoos gracing the ranks of professional boxing right now. We've already got to deal with Tim. Now we're gonna have to deal with Nikita, whatever division he's gonna campaign at.
Yeah,
No,
I love the
great.
fact that I love the fact that Tim's last win is finally got him on the radar of some of these for these title fights. I mean, they can't shove him under the carpet. You know what I mean?
Oh, they're gonna do everything they can to try to still.
They're gonna try.
To me, he's like Chon Zepeda. He just, with the exception of Zepeda's got way more experience than Zepeda has fought for a title twice, and came up on the short end of the stick by no fault of his own twice. Once with the foul, and then the other one with the shit decision. But no, anyways, I'm excited for, and I see that Tim's back in the gym too. He's already back in the gym. He's the guy that's going to just stay in the gym. He's just going to stay training. Yeah. So,
well, he knows.
Is he going to be working with his brother at all? Sorry.
Yeah, they're working side by side.
So he's going to be helping his brother. That's awesome.
Oh yeah, side by side. There, I saw footage of them today training side by side, and the same trainer, their uncle Igor, who's their mom's brother, who emigrated to Australia, 20 years ago, 25 years ago from Russia, is their trainer. And, he's another trainer that's very under the radar. He's kind of like a Papachenko, where he's like, maybe he only has, these one or two fighters, but he doesn't make it about himself. He's just,
those fighters. Yeah. That's awesome. That's going to be great.
Next thing, when we're going to hear their little sister Anastasia is going to turn pro next.
Probably that'll be enough.
They have a little sister that named Anastasia. Well, I say little. She's probably like in her early 20s.
Well, maybe I could get my daughter Allie to turn pro. She's tough as nails.
Let's just be glad that some families didn't have more children in the sense that we're interested in boxing, a la guys like Mayweather and Andre Ward, because then that would just bring boxing back into the dark ages. Of
exactly. Right. Right.
Yeah. So let's see what else we got coming up. So obviously after that, Conor Ben, I mean, on the 17th, this is an exciting matchup too, Mike, I want to talk about. You got Arthur Beterbiev, who's looked upon as, as the best guy in the division, obviously, for many reasons, going up against Marcus Brown, a guy who I know myself personally, I was really high on up into his defeat to John Pascal, it was just a weird situation how that whole fight went down. I can't remember exactly but I know that there was some controversy about Pascal failing a couple tests, but then he was cleared by it was some weird DACA was some weird thing. But at the end of the day, it was just a fight in which Marcus Brown was dealing with a lot of demons. But being a Kambosos type of fighter, that's my new thing. A Kambosos type of fighter, he made no excuses. He licked his wounds, and he's done nothing but positive things since then. He's a guy that's kind of been pushed out of the picture. Marcus Brown, to me, is a legitimate threat to Arthur Beterbiev. He's a guy who takes a good shot. He's a very good boxer. And he's a totally different element as far as a fighter, anything that Arthur Beterbiev's ever seen, in a sense.
Mm-hmm.
What do you think?
You're right. I mean, I've only seen Marcus Brown fight once or twice, but I mean, I I'm kind of high on Beterbiev. The only question I have with him is just his frequency of fighting. And I know that this fight's going to take place in Canada. And I don't know what kind of sparring he's getting in Canada, if this is really the best place, I don't know. I mean, oh, we forgot about another fight at the end of the year. We forgot about Triple G against Murata.
I haven't got to that one yet.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. But I back real quick. We'll
Better Beef.
On Better Beef. I showed you some videos and stuff. Arthur Beterbiev looked upon as this monster, but he's a little chinny himself. He's been knocked down in a couple of fights, just recent fights. And the thing is that Marcus Brown's is a heavy hitter. Maybe not the level of puncher that Beterbiev is, but he's definitely a harder hitter than Stapleton and a few of these other guys that Beterbiev. So there's a legitimate threat there. You know what I'm saying? But I mean, it's going to be an interesting fight because Marcus Brown's not a guy who's going to really engage. I think that's going to be his mistake. He's going to fight it at a distance. And that might give Beterbiev problems, but if Beterbiev is able to cut off that distance and get him against the ropes, no one closes better than that guy. Yeah.
So that fight's coming up as well, right? That's in December.
Yeah, that one's in that's going to be on December 17th. On December 18th, we're just going to go past it. We got Joseph Parker going up against Derek Chisera. This is their second meeting. This is a situation where I just think Eddie Hearn is it's kind of like when you're making a record and you got to put a couple filler songs in there just to kind of add some space.
A couple of B-sides.
Yeah, there we go.
Yeah, I don't understand why
I'm not even going to
discuss fight.
December 18th fight because to me it's not boxing. So we're going to go ahead and move on from there. We'll move on for Gilberto Ramirez with Mickey. December 29th, we got Gennady Golovkin going up against the ex-champion Murata. What do you think, bro?
Well, I know the fight's taking place in Japan, right?
Yes, it is.
I mean, at this point in his career, you're like, what's Triple G? I mean, he's the champion. He holds a belt, right? 160, right? Ever since Canelo, went north. I mean, he still is one of the best guys at 160. I don't know, man. I just don't know. I mean, it's going to really tell a lot to what kind of Triple G shows up. He's had a long layoff, right? He hasn't fought in 8 months or something, 9 months.
It's been quite a while since Triple G's fought, but
I know he's back training in Big Bear right now. I saw some footage. He's back training, and he's going to cross a couple time zones to go fight in Japan. And
I think boxing's ready for what I call a spring cleaning. I hate to say it. Murata's maybe not going to be the guy, but honestly, the days of guys like Triple G and a few others and stuff, it's time for them to kind of clear out and let's get some of this new blood coming on there. Don't get me wrong. Triple G is still one of the best at 160 pounds. You know what I'm saying? And what he's done in the past, you can't deny it, but he's not the same fighter anymore. He's not, I don't even think people are clamoring to really see him because they've seen his choices of opponents since the Canelo Alvarez fight. It's been really daunting. I mean, with the exception to Derevyanchenko in a fight that honestly, I think Triple G lost. Personally, I think he lost the fight, but his choices have been so. Murata's a live dog in the sense that he's kind of a volume puncher.
He's at home.
He's at home in Japan, but the problem in Japan, I don't know if you ever watch a fight in Japan. It's like fighting a fight with no fans during COVID. They're not very vocal.
Yeah, they're very quiet, stoic.
Very quiet, yeah. So it's like it's not gonna the fans are not gonna play anything. It's not like if they're fighting in Russia or Ukraine, where Kazakhstan, where Triple G's from, and they're out there with their vodka. It'd be a totally different story.
It's gonna be like a church service.
But I know what Murata's gonna do. He knows Triple G's a notorious slow starter. Murata's got a lot of first round knockouts. It's his norm. He's gonna run out there and he's gonna try to catch Triple G cold, hoping that this layoff and his accelerated age has caught up to him.
Yeah. Good strategy.
Yeah.
That's what I do. I mean, what else can you do at that point? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Very true.
January 1st, we got the return of Luis King Kong Ortiz in an IBF heavyweight eliminator going up against former champion Charles Martin. I don't know.
I'm actually intrigued by that fight, because Martin's a guy that, he stunk it up. He basically was paid to go give his title to Anthony Joshua, the IBF title, 2 years back.
That fight.
Yeah, but he's a guy that I thought, man, I thought he had ability. He had some ability, but to me, it just seemed like his conditioning was never on point. I don't know. I don't know. I mean, I want to root for the guy. But I think King Kong Ortiz should be making a statement in this fight. But Charles Martin's like a skill wise, he's not a bad fighter. He really is. And he just, there's just no fire there. He just kind of goes through the motions. Even in his last fight, I think he lost a decision to somebody recently, right? Well, I thought it was a toss-up fight, but he ended up losing the decision. He didn't seem overly upset about it. He was like the heavyweight version of Jamel Herring. He was just too content to catch a paycheck and just be like, okay, well, I guess I'll just go back to the gym and do something, find the next guy to fight. I don't understand.
It reminds me of a heavyweight from the past. Remember Brewer? A guy that we were both kind of high on. The guy had so much ability, but just kind of like at times just stalled. What do you think about this fight, Eric? with
I'm
Charles
sorry,
Martin.
give me. Sorry, which
King-
fight?
The return of King. I think
King Kong Ortiz, you know,
King
the
Kong Ortiz is a guy who's completely overlooked. I'll let you go ahead and elaborate on it, Eric. The heavyweight.
I don't know much about it, guys.
about
I'm
Ortiz.
sorry.
You've seen Ortiz fight though. You've
I
seen
have
Ortiz
seen.
fight.
I have.
Wilder, he fought Wilder. He was actually beating Wilder on points until he got hit with that right hand in the 10th round.
Okay, you're right. You're right. And so
The
who's he fighting
southpaw.
now?
He's fighting Charles Martin. He's right. He's from LA here. He was a former IBF title holder. He won the title over Arthur Szpilka, I think, on a technicality. The fight finished in the 5th or 6th round. Szpilka hurt his knee, and they went to the cards, and Charles and Martin won. I mean, he deserved. I mean, he won. I mean, he won the fight, but he was never really.
I think on my part, I think King Kong Ortiz is a fighter that people take very lightly and erase just because of what happened with Deontay Wilder. Let's be honest. Deontay Wilder possesses one thing that he does really well, and that's he's got power. Ortiz, if he would have kept boxing and using that Cuban national amateur pedigree that he has, he beats Deontay Wilder, but he got into a firefight and he got caught. I tell you right now, if Ortiz wins this fight, which I'm sure he does, I'd love to see Ortiz go up against a guy like Robert Helenius, or possibly in a later on match against Tyson Fury. Because I tell you right now, the difference between Ortiz and Deontay Wilder is Deontay Wilder was very hittable because he doesn't have accelerated boxing skills. King Kong Ortiz does. He's a very good boxer, but he's also a guy that possesses extreme power.
Yeah, he does have power. Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, I'm excited for that fight. Yeah, and that's on January 1?
January 1.
New Year's Day. Wow, man.
Well, we're not doing nothing, so I mean, I'll be watching that fight. But hey, in closing real quick, I know we're getting close to the thing, but let's talk real briefly about the two fights again this week and stuff. Obviously we already put our predictions out there and stuff, but let's talk about just real quick. JoJo Diaz, what happens when they win? If Devin Haney wins this fight, where does he go from here? Where does JoJo Diaz go if he wins this fight?
I think JoJo Diaz stays true to his word and challenges the winner of Gervonta Davis versus Isaac Cruz,
which would be great.
If Devin Haney wins the fight, he's gonna basically pull a Devin Haney, and he's gonna say Kambosos has to come fight me here in Vegas, blah 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 blah. And Kambosos has already drawn his line in the sand and says, I'm the, not in a braggadocious way, but he's saying, hey, I'm the guy with all the belts. I've been the road warrior. I fought in the States. I fought in the UK. I fought everywhere. You're coming to Australia. And I completely agree with them.
I agree with them too.
I don't give a shit
100%.
how much money they throw at you. Do not budge. It's something called principle. Do not sell out because they will make it hard for you. I personally, I mean, like I said, I'll be able to give a better assessment of Devin Haney after this fight because JoJo Diaz to me is a legitimate guy in his prime, a tough guy. We'll see how he fares against Haney. But I think if they fought tomorrow, I would be very, very willing and ready, willing, and able to put money on Kambosos beating Devin Haney because Devin Haney's slick or he's quick or whatever, but George is proved that he can box, man.
Well, the thing is, I think the difference is go ahead,
go ahead. No. Well, not only can he box, but I mean, he takes a hell of a freaking punch, and he doesn't stop. I mean, he's a smart fighter. I mean, his ring IQ is wonderful, and he proved that against Teofimo. I mean, he absolutely proved it. Teofimo came out there that first round just wanting to destroy, knock the guy's head off, and saw him move and just be able to just pick him apart over.
Did you guys know, by the way, just to touch on that a little bit, did you guys see the official scorecards? Do you know that 2 of the 3 judges scored that first round a 10-9 round for Kambosos instead of the customary 10-8? Did you guys know? Did you guys know? I'm not even kidding you. Did you know that?
No, I didn't know that.
Yeah. Never happens ever. Lyle Fitzsimmons put an article today on Boxing Scene trying to defend the judges. I've been watching boxing 40 years, and I have never seen that happen unless a guy's completely dominated. And Teofimo came out strong and was throwing hard, but he really wasn't landing.
He wasn't hitting.
He landed a couple, but George, about a minute into the round, figured him out, slowed him down, and started firing back. So the fact that they did that, so the cards should have even been wider. So
I had it 116, 1 116, one pen, I think it was.
So when you think about it, on the one judge's scorecard, the one judge who gave it to Teofimo, 114, 113, I think it was Don Trella. If he would have scored it correctly, it would have been a draw on his scorecard. So it would have been a majority, instead of a split, it would have been a majority decision win for Kambosos. That was just atrocious. And anybody defending that is just really just at this point, they're just Teofimo nut huggers.
Yeah.
Because I'm telling you, I can't even count on one hand how many times I've seen that. And I've watched 1,000 fights in my years.
I mean,
not more.
Like I told you, I mean, Kambosos made a fan out of me with what he did.
10-9 round.
Getting back to the Devin Haney situation, I would look at it this way. There's two ways you can look at Kambosos' victory. Was Teofimo, if you say he's as good as he thought he was, then this is a great victory for George Kambosos. But if Teofimo was flawed in the sense to where he was handed a gift by a fighter in Lomachenko that gave away literally almost half the fight, you know, because of his defensive minded offense at the time until he figured it out. Maybe Teofimo was a little bit of a farce. So that kind of takes a little bit of gloss off the victory. And then you look at a guy like, Devin Haney and what he says he wants to do in this fight. Now, if Devin Haney goes out and beats JoJo Diaz convincingly and looks dominating in it, it's gonna put a little bit, maybe not make David Haney would only be the A side here in the United States because he's from the United States, because it's Devin Haney. George Kambosos is still a new commodity here, with the exception to his victory over Teofimo Lopez. We know who he is. We've known about him for years. But Devin Haney will show his true grit if he accepts that challenge and actually goes to Australia, where he's going to encounter
that will never happen.
That will be a different ball. That would be a different playing ground. But will he do it? I highly doubt it. I haven't seen anybody, with the exception of possibly Tank Davis, who might do it. And I even have questions there of whether or not he'll do it. Taking that kind of risk.
Devin Haney, you guys will watch, mark my words, a year from now, we're going to be sitting here talking about Devin Haney being the 135-pound version of Demetrius Andrade. He will be content to hold that one belt, to fight mediocre opponents, blah, blah, blah. I think with social media forced him into this fight because his dad was running his mouth, and JoJo Diaz said, I'll take the fight. My fight with Ryan Garcia fell apart because Ryan Garcia's got whatever was going on in his life. I'm telling you, he will be completely content with being the Andrade of 135. He will hold that one belt and say, look, I've got 5 title defenses. I've got 7 title defenses. Now I've got 9 title. I'm the best lightweight, blah, blah. He will wait out George Kambosos until George Kambosos either loses or finally agrees to come back to the States and fight stateside. And that's which could be 2-3 fights from now.
Yeah, and that's what's going to be the downfall, because I'm going to say it again. I don't think Devin Haney really wanted this fight. I know when they made the initial thing, they figured because of the amount of time they were giving JoJo to prepare for this fight, even though JoJo was originally supposed to fight Ryan Garcia.
Yeah.
They basically thought a fighter of JoJo's caliber is not going to accept this. So we're just going to throw this out there and make us look like we're the guy.
Yeah, they cried. He called their bluff.
He cried wolf.
And I'll never forget when they said it. And Devin Haney's dad was like, you know, he's like, no, he signed the contract. It's done deal. You should have seen the look on his face. Like, oh shit. You know, I think got to really get ready for this fight now. You know,
I saw that too.
You know, so who was who was Devin Haney originally supposed to fight?
I don't know. It probably was somebody we've never heard of, which is, you know.
Yeah, it was no big fighter.
Some tomato can. You know?
Yeah, I actually take it back. You know what? When JoJo's fight got canceled with Ryan Garcia, Haney didn't have anything going on. He just put himself in the mix and said, hey, I'll step up and take you on. And that's when this whole thing happened. So in reality, Devin Haney I'm not saying that he's not a guy that's in the gym, but he wasn't really preparing for JoJo Diaz. JoJo Diaz was already preparing for a guy like Ryan Garcia, who's got speed, movement. So who's the more prepared fighter going into this fight? We're going to find out.
Yeah, JoJo looked great at the press conferences. We got the weigh-in coming up in a couple of days, right?
Which I expect some fireworks at. Yeah,
we'll see.
You know,
so all right, guys, we're closing in on an hour here, so let's go ahead and shut this down. I'm gonna grab some food.
Tired.
We'll be back. I want to say we'll be back Sunday, but I think we're gonna be busy watching those fights. Those fights
maybe we'll do a little play-by-play like we used to do. We'll play by
we'll
ear.
see.
and
We'll
see how
play
we
by
feel.
ear. But if we're not back Sunday, we'll definitely be back the following Tuesday at 6 p.m. Pacific and 9 on the East Coast. So, anyways, brothers, that was a good show. Thanks for tuning in, everybody. Don't forget to like, subscribe, share, send us a comment. If it was a topic you want us to talk about, just want to chime in on what we're talking about, what you think about us, whether you think we're ugly or we suck, whatever. That's fine. All criticism is welcome.
Yeah.
So for all of us here, Into the Ring, Mighty Mike,
AJ Rage,
And Eric the Red.
we'll see you guys next week. Have a good one.
everybody have a good one. ABC brothers, love you guys.